Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is the Alviso from last week. My first one in like 4 months. Yeah, about 4 months. I was very excited to get back out. I had been putting it off for a while just because I was trying to focus on more endurance stuff through the off season. But now we're a week away from the first big race of the year, Criterium, and I wanted to get some actual race miles in my legs, remind myself how difficult it is when you put a group of competitive guys together and then you set a finish line. It's a little bit different than just a group ride. So I was very active, basically start to finish in this race, and that ended up biting me. But that's the reason we get out and we do these practice races, is we kind of remind ourselves what we're capable of, what other people are capable of. And just like fitness, you know, you have to brush up on your strategy this time of year too. So let me show you what bad strategy looks like. So basically I was following every single move and also trying to break away myself, trying to crack the field basically. Here's Jerome going. Well, I got to follow Jerome, right? I mean, look, he's got national bands on his jersey. And we've been in a lot of breakaways together, Jerome's strong, so I'm following this one. We get separation. I'm definitely going to oblige the elbow and take a pull. If we have a gap, I'm doing some work. And I guess I just thought I was stronger in January than I actually am. These Alviso guys are all pretty motivated to chase. We end up getting caught, and I probably overcommitted to this a little bit. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That takes a lot out of you, especially towards the end of the race. Here comes the counter. So predictable counterattack that goes, which is really well timed, by the way. That's why it's predictable, because it's really good timing. Jerome and I just spent a lot of energy off the front trying to escape and catch us at a moment when we can't respond to a counterattack and force us into a position where we have to chase. And eventually that move gets brought back too, and I don't learn my lesson. I'm going to attack again. I'm going to follow some of these moves off the front, and I just want to be involved in every single thing that goes off the front. I'm not really being selective here. And in my defense, I mean, coming out to Alviso, it is a practice crit, and I am trying to empty the tank, but I also like winning. So what I'm doing here is probably not a good idea if I want to win, which is responding to every move. And I see there's still two riders off the front. Oh, maybe more. Maybe 2 groups of 2 off the front. So 4 riders still off the front, and I want to be a part of that. So I'm going to waste some more energy. Why not? Here I go. Just way too ambitious. It's the time of year where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a TT guy. I'm a breakaway rider. I can do this. It's the time of year where a lot of people are like, I'm a sprinter, or they're not a sprinter. In my case, you know, I'm a climber. I'm a TT guy when I'm really not. And I'm going to pay for this later on for sure. So we end up catching those small groups off the front, and then I get punished by Dan Martin. No, not that Dan Martin, but another super strong cyclist who is also an Olympic caliber rower launches off the front. And when I hear rower turn cyclist, I just think like powerhouse, can TT away from everybody, and that's Dan Martin basically. So he launches, and it's like, oh great, now more chasing in my future. But I do get the help of Chuck here in front of me. You remember him from my last video, and then also Jerome behind. So we get a little rotation going. And when we get about halfway there, I have this brilliant idea that I'm going to interrupt a nice rotating pace line on the front, because I want to bridge up to Dan, who's probably tired. Like, again, these are bad ideas. These are bad strategies, guys. But I'm yelling at him because I want him to jump on. I'm thinking, okay, if I can tow Jerome along and then Dan jumps on, then if we can get separation, maybe that'll be the selection. Because I'm hoping that the field behind is tired of chasing, and eventually one of these attacks is going to work. And what you end up doing is you just dig yourself a deeper and deeper hole. You know, you put in a few attacks, and they don't work, you get chased back, and then you start thinking, okay, well, they're getting tired. The next one, they're going to be even less motivated to chase, so then you put in another attack, and then they chase you back, and then you think, well, if I just do one more, then they're going to give up, and then you do another one. And that was kind of the fate of my day today. Be more selective is the lesson. You can see how unorganized we are. Like, this is not a good... This really should have been the move. Because, look, there's 4 of us. We all like to ride breakaways, and we're racing like we got 2 left feet. I mean, look at this. There's gaps opening up. We're checking back. I'm yelling easy because Chuck is just going way too hard on the front. And that caused the gap behind me now that Dan has to close. So basically, this should have been race over. If you're on the front and you want to break away to work, don't go super hard. Even if you can, don't go like 500 watts and go super fast. The key to a successful breakaway is just being really consistent and really smooth. And if you do have extra energy, take a longer pull or slowly increase your speed. That way the people behind you benefit from the draft. Think of it, you know, you're on the same team. You've come to this truce when you're in a breakaway where everyone has a common interest in staying away. So you're doing things that are in the best interest of the group, the breakaway group that you're in. And look, Dan is just going way too hard now. I'm having to do 500 and something watts to close this gap down. We've dropped Chuck. So we are not consistent. So eventually that gets caught, and I try my luck again because I'm committed, guys. I'm digging myself a deeper and deeper hole. Now I'm trying again. Why not? I really should be much more selective. And actually, I should have really committed to some of these attacks. Instead of like 6 of these kind of weak, smaller attacks, I should have really committed to like 1 or 2 really hard ones. That probably would have been a lot more successful too. Now I'm basically just giving everyone behind me a really good draft. And meanwhile, my competition, namely Zach, there with the white shoes and the blue and black shorts on the left, he's been very selective. He's been smart, unlike me, and he's been saving a lot more energy. So as I get caught and I'm drifting back and I'm thinking about the sprint, the winning breakaway gets away. Did you guys see it? Because I didn't see it, but it just got away. And that's how quickly it can happen. We're about a lap and a half to go, and Zach just launched an attack off the front. And he just locked it into like threshold. And he brought Chuck along with him, and they worked really well together. And they waited, and they were patient, and they watched me racing like a buffoon off the front for most of the race, and then they were like, all right, now I go, and they committed to it. I think that's the most important thing, is they attacked and they committed to it. So about a half a lap later, now the alarm bells are going off for me because I've seen their gap and I've seen the general lack of motivation to do any more chasing. Now I'm trying to move back up through the field, trying to get to the front to either inject some speed into the chase effort, try to bridge across myself, or do something that is going to change the outcome of this race. Because as it stands right now, I am in a losing position. And they have me on the back foot. I am not dictating the terms of this race. Zach and Chuck are off the front right now. And then you can see out of the corner of my eye right there, I don't know if you guys just caught it, but now Dan and Jerome have gone off the front. And now I just need to launch immediately. And that's what I do. But it's already too late for a couple of reasons. I mean, the first move I missed. I missed the Zach and Chuck move. They're still up the road. And now I've missed this Dan and Jerome move. And now I'm really paying for it because now I'm doing, 500 and something watts. And I just have to close this gap to those two guys immediately. And Dan is just head down with Jerome in tow. Oh, now I'm up at 900 watts. And I just absolutely need to close this gap. Because this is the race for me now. Jerome looks back. Now Jerome is taking a pole. Dan's pulled off. Basically a lead-out man for Jerome. His race is done. Even more bad news for me. And I still need to get on terms with Jerome, and I am just burning up here. Still can't even see. Okay, so there goes Zach. So you can see the gap up to Zach. He's attacked Chuck. So now Chuck is dropped. So now this is just great news for Zach. Because we're all just individual riders like this. We're not a cohesive unit chasing him down. That's exactly what he needs for this like half a lap launch. And his gap isn't insurmountable. It's right there, right? We can see it. And I tell Jerome right there, I'm like, I just bridged. But Jerome's tired, and that's the reason why this is great news for Zach, because he's got this gap, but all of us are exhausted from doing our own individual effort. So I'm going as hard as I can. I mean, 174, 175 beats per minute. That's about it for me at this point in the race. And I still think we have a chance to catch him, so I need to close this down a little bit more. I want one more pull out of Jerome. And Jerome gets to the front, one more pull. We're both so exhausted, though, because we've both done so much in this race. And we've both done so much to try to close this gap down to Zach that we'd let grow too much in the last lap. So Jerome pushes it. I yell at him a little bit right here to tell him to close it down, to chase a little bit more. I stand up, and I sit right back down. And that's all I got. It was a really good move by Zach. I was really impressed that he was able to hold the power all the way to the line. very well deserved win. Definitely a guy I'll be looking out for in the future Alviso crits. So thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one.